Blessings, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Real Talk Cafe. We're going to try to do it a little different today. We're going to call this the transitional series because I'm moving more into that to be more intimate. And that's why we got a more intimate setting today because it's about to get more real. And so, with that being said, when you doing anything that's causing you to change, there's going to be a great transition. And so, in transition, you're going to have to get deeper into conversations and really know the heart of people. So, therefore, you get a greater of understanding of what you're trying to understand.
Hmm.
So, with that being
I
said,
think a way to put it too, right, is when you say that, it makes me think of I don't know why, but Ernest Hemingway, right? And he had this like famous line, and it could be implied for many different things, but it was like the Hemingway, the knowing look, right? And that was like a something that was always like you put in this, and you see it in literature all the time, but it's like this the knowing look. So that greater understanding, right, is like sometimes when you lock eyes with somebody, and like when you're on the same page or whatever it is, there's like this sense too, and it could be for anything in life. But when you like look at somebody, and you got that like, okay, we're on the same. Yeah, that's what comes to mind. The greater sense. So, and you get that through like how you're with the people you're around. Like I say this a lot. Zoom is a great tool. It's a great additional thing for what we do in life, and like the as an international, like we work for this international company too, and that's a great tool. It's a great accessory. But Zoom makes us rigid. It's really made life a lot more rigid, I think. And so that knowing look you only get when you're with like those people, I think. I mean, you can, obviously you still connect over whatever. But yeah, that's me. I'm rambling today. So
yeah. Well, my thing is, we kind of started a conversation with that last week, and you said you want to touch more on that. Because one thing about the transition is, you got to be open and honest and real. Because people, they want something that's real, raw, and relevant. You know what I mean? We're tired of people just scaving around the surfaces and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think it depends on the audience, right? Like, you're totally right that some people need that reality, but it's all where the approach. But yeah.
Yeah, but even, I mean, because it's like, you have to be careful how you tell people the truth. Because people get offended by you just telling them the truth. Like, it's not what you said, it's the way you said it.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, that's called, what's that fancy word, right? Tack or something. It's like, there's more like, I think about, not that you need a playbook, if you will, but you've told me like how with prison ministry, you sometimes only get one chance, right? For like, so to make an impact, if based on the scenario, right? But that seems like an important thing to remember, that in some points in life, like they need to hear it a certain way. And I think, that's related to, sometimes it's like, oh, what's how you approach it. So, yeah.
It's more or less the mindset. Because I heard a pastor say years ago, water finds its level. So you got wavery people, they can address with wavery people. Just like I was thinking earlier about how, you got parents that have favorite kids. And it's not that that's their favorite kid. They just are like-minded.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you off like me. And so, wow, I'm going to make you my favorite because we can, you know what I mean? More so get along and chill.
There's a difference between you don't like, there's the love you have for your kids, and then there's the ones that, favorite looks different for different people. And that's, and especially if you have bigger and bigger families, more kids, like, of course there's going to be possibly one that, like you just said, you connect with them on a different level. Yeah. And
even in the workspace, with that favoritism, it's like, I'm trying to get famous, you trying to get famous, so, you could get me somewhere, so let me link up with you. And it's like the people that are not really up front are normally the people that can help you. And the people that are up front, you know what I mean, is, up before the lights, camera, and action, they're the least likely to help you because they're trying to climb the ladder. Just like Matt was, doing the lighting for me today. He's like, dude, you're going to be famous. I'm like, dude, I'm not in this to be famous. I'm in here just to, shed some light on the world. You know what I mean? And help people along the way.
That's a good perspective.
And love on people as I have loved on myself. Like the Bible says, we are to love others as we love ourselves.
Mm. That's what I've been leaning into a lot. Is they will know we are Christians by our love, and that's like how we interact throughout our day, and like when we're um, going about whatnot. And not that I like act different if I have what I'm wearing on, as a change, but I am mindful if I happen to be at the store and the self-automated checkout thing like stops. And again, it's not that I change how I am just because if I have different stuff on, but I am mindful in that moment. I'm like, okay, what am I wearing? Where are people look like? Whatever. It's good to check in, and it gives you that moment to take a breath. Like I was very angry at this device that was like the conveyor belt. I don't know, whatever the thing. And so I think those are good ways, good reminders. And I've learned more why people lean into that kind of stuff. Of if it's working for you to help keep your aligning like for following what Jesus tells us through the Beatitudes, through the different teachings. That's what I've been learning a lot recently. So I've been diving into not necessarily what the pros and cons of different denominations, but like just the differences and where some of the origins and stuff. We're in the middle of our church denomination's kind of having a split right now. And so they're just figuring out how to do it gracefully, and it's like in the next couple of years or in the next 7 years, like some kind of thing. So, but it's all happening, and so so through that's been part of my what all is going on. So
it's a scripture in the Bible that says those that claim to know something don't yet know what they ought to know. So basically, you got a bunch of people that's heady and high-minded, and you know what I mean. They think they know everything. So it's like, I'm not going to bend on what I know. And it's sad that people can't even come together when it comes to Christ. That's the main factor right there, because it's like the haves and the have-nots. The haves really don't have. It's the have-nots that have.
First and last, stuff like that. It's like in what you get and what you do with it, And we're not born. We don't pick the family we're born into. And it's like that's where I've leaned into. Also, I've had these like interesting Holy Spirit moments the past couple months or this month, and it was kind of going that approach again. I mentioned they'll know we're Christians by our love, and like what does that look like in terms of not having enemies either? And it's interesting about how we think about those that put us down, but then how we think about how we just react, because it's all back to us and how we do it, right? So,
but if you look at it, the people that put other people down are already down, so they can't get no lower. So that's why they do all they can to pull others down. Just like,
anyone can tear down anyone. You know what
I mean? If you're not strong enough and don't know who you are, they can. Right. But if you know who you are and you know how to address different spirits and different attitudes in people, and their mindsets, because it's like, I could talk to people for like 5 minutes and already, give them the prognosis of what's going on with them. You know what I mean? And I don't like doing that, because when I meet people, I like to just genuinely have a conversation and get to know them. And then once I detect there's some faulty wiring going on, it's like, okay, let me make my exit.
I think part of that's a strength for like that, what you were getting at too with prison stuff. And I think that's why I like your directness when you say that, these are what kind of people need and whatnot. But I think that's kind of rooted in, how your call for how you interact with people and that like sixth sense or whatever you get with them. That's beneficial in a lot of places, but like with those people, right? Like those that are those walls, I'm sure the walls that prisoners put up that they don't want to let you in, like, that's like I like the phrase too, like how we use our spiritual gifts, and it's very much like you get those opportunities, and I think a place where folks can work, they often think you can't, if you have a spiritual gift or whatever, you should like keep it hidden, and you can't that's a spiritual side that's not related to how the average day should be. And I get that there's a balance in how we operate, and as Americans too, there's a part of that. But I think it's not as hard as it may seem to incorporate your spiritual gifts throughout your day. I think is what I'm trying to get at. It's what I'm learning. How about that?
Because it's like when you walking in your purpose, just like me, I normally have Fridays off. People are like, man, what are you doing here? Like, dude, I'm working when I'm not working. I'm not going to be working for somebody and not working on my dream and purpose. That's why I'm here now. You know what I mean?
That's like when I brought in Carson a few times and like, it's your day off or whatever. I mean, and like we're coming and running errands and stuff. But it's like I stop by because I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Talk about Kate, so it's like I want to bring him in and show him. But man, that's just me.
I'm kind of glad they're having company back in too.
Yeah.
Because I saw Luke and his family and his kids are they just like, hey, there he is. You know what I mean? Make me excited about being me. Yeah. But back to what we were saying, man. It's like when I first started here, I had individuals look down on me because they didn't know where I came from. All they knew was where I was coming in on a entry level as a temporary, not knowing that God was using this place to strengthen me and allow me to be mentally sound on a whole nother level, because he needed people to rub me the wrong way in order to sharpen me in areas that I was dull in. And so with that being said, it goes back to that favoritism. Hey, I read something on Facebook or Instagram. It says you could tell how a person really is by the way they treat people that can't do nothing for them. And so that's when you can tell somebody's true colors. Because I don't care who you are. If I can help you, hey, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking down on nobody, because I was once, and I can't say I was once down or out or whatever. I just was once in a situation where I needed help, and the help I needed from could only come from me. Until I made the conscious decision, like, look, I got to pull myself up out of this.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and so that's one thing that we as people don't look at. The situations. We don't remember the situation we were once in,
Okay.
or
you gotta remember your past, right?
Yeah, the simple fact that it's all about me, what I want.
Because it's what your story is. That's where you can encourage others, or get advice, or get a change for yourself, right?
It's like you see, people like we have service here. Everybody's a great Christian and stuff at chapel, but then we go back to our respective work areas. That's when you see the real people.
Okay.
And so now it's up to me to, how am I going to react? Like you was talking about that reaction earlier.
Okay.
I'm going to react the same way because I know who you are now. You know what I mean? So God's going to hold me accountable how you treat me, not how I treat you, not how you treat me. And so once you keep that in mind, you good.
Yeah. And I think a big part too, it's how we treat our neighbors, right? Who we work with, our actual neighbors in life, our family, different things like that. But I think it's often how we carry ourselves, right? And amongst the people that have no idea who we are, but they feel like, even though they might not know you exactly, they feel like you're an approachable person. And so, yeah, I think you got like that. You kind of carry that kind of thing too. So, for what it's worth. Yeah.
I'm down with, like I said, talking loud.
Because what I'm getting at too is, it's like, it's the time and the place, like where we land sometimes in life, and like just being mindful of like, hey, I could be helpful, right, in this moment wherever I'm at with the people. So that's one thing I encourage with you, man, because you've got that like instinct of what's going on like around me and stuff. Could be helpful. Yeah. But for myself, I'll put it this way. How about this? Like, I put less of the earbuds in, and I'm just like, as I'm going about my day in terms of not at work, but rather, out and about with people. Like, I'm getting at the stranger thing, like how strangers view us randomly, and not that you have to tell them that you're a Christian or not, but like that's the point where it's like I do these things because of who I am, and then if they ask or whatever, you could tell them, I guess, later. It doesn't matter. But it's like, it's, I don't know. And then on the flip side, I lean into isn't in Matthew, and it says like, you don't want to let your light, like, don't put it under a bushel basket, like, tell them, stuff like that. And that's like the telling, I think, is also the doing how you act. But they'll see your good deeds, and then you give glory to God and Jesus and stuff. And so, anyways, that's what I'm getting at, is I'm encouraging you in that bit too, because you never know where life takes you. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
My thing is with I got a question for you because I mean, you so you put your earbuds in, and man, the way you zoom around, when do you ever get time to really adjust to? I guess you really can't adjust because you over here, Nate, I need this, Nate, I need that, Nate, I need this. So you just you're on everywhere. So that's your way of mentally, you know what I'm saying, landing with your earbuds.
Great question, man, and way to call me out. No, yeah, I do zoom a lot, moving here and there, and so we basically you can crop this out.
No, we're gonna keep going, man, because it's like, man, I just see you flying around all the time, and it's like, dude, this guy, man, because me, I'm more relaxed and chill at all times. You know what I mean? Even when, you know, things are, you know, every now and then I might come unhinged, but it's not gonna be to the point to where, you know, I just make it known every now and then.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think there's a truth in the what you said about the landing though, and like where. I'll put it this way: how I manage with finding that space is incorporating either if it's on the way to take it, I'll have my earbuds in. That's how I can like process stuff. I've been trying to some more like things I need to keep better track of like notes or stuff that's more meaningful, not necessarily like this printer needs toner or whatever. That's like a sticky note. But I've been keeping like physical like journal more. That's been really helpful, I think, in its own way. Because these are the things I'm reflecting back on, and that helps. And but it's not like just like a daily journal. It's like have you heard the term bullet journaling? It's just like categories, but you kind of build it as you go. So you just have a blank notebook, and you kind of there's like a way you break it up that I'm trying to figure out. But yeah. And then I think also the part of where finding that, I think you used the word landing. Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's kind of like I kind of still hit the ground running sometimes, you know. And then I like in the stillness of the night, like, you know, like as all the animals are going to sleep, the family's going to bed, you know, everything's kind of, I'll find a little piece there, and that can really recharge you. I think what helped me one time too is like kind of like a side hobby thing. And I went to school for writing, but I work on like writing and stuff. And there was a book from Stephen King. You know, he's written a few books or whatever, but he wrote this one called On Writing. And he talked about how some people, they need to just like shut the door from everything else, and they focus in on it, and then that's he can sit down and then he writes blah blah blah, he just goes. And some people need to do that, and he in the book that he the book On Writing, that's the name of the title, he explained to have like good communication with your family, that the times if you want to be serious with writing, you need to tell your family, like, these are, if that's the type of writer you are, you need to tell them, like, I need to shut the world away sometimes. And it's at certain, he's learned it's at certain phases in a book that he does that. In other phases he can like, he can write like a note that comes to him, but if he needs to like sit down, and I've learned I do that in different ways, but I'll like go like on a walk by myself or whatever. Even here I might like walk outside on my lunch break or something. And so I find that can really like a 10-minute little and like being alone, and that's the way I put it, man. And
what do you say, inhale?
So and it's funny because like I'm going from walking to walking elsewhere, but the intention of what I'm doing with it is different.
You might as well get one of them segways or whatever.
Yeah.
The way you walk around with, man.
Yeah, I try, but you know. So it's a good question. Thanks for asking, man. So
because it's you know, one of the things, man, we need to recognize is how to chill and address and adjust to chilling. You know, so we want to appreciate Nate and thank him for coming on. And this concludes another segment of Real Talk Cafe, where we're gonna show the world the definition of real, because we're not afraid to say what needs to be said. Peace.